Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1709 of our daily content grind. I know I said in yesterday's review that we were going to be doing 2 metal card bot videos this weekend. However, something happened on Saturday that has me very, very excited because it means I can finally tell you all about something that I finally got to do here at the toy shop, or something the toy shop in general finally did. I've been super excited to share it with you, so you'll have to stick to the end of the video in order to find out what it is, because in order to make this at least a 15-minute video, we got to front load it with a little bit, and I have to actually like wrap this around some kind of topic that has to do with running a toy shop. So today we are going to be discussing presentation and how important it is not only for your own visual appeal, but also to make sure things actually sell. So in particular, we got to talk about the retailer's trick of trying to get old stuff to move by moving it to a new location and switching things around. And new stock is great excuse to do that, by the way. We've been getting in some new stock that I'm going to show you, and I'll show you just how it redefines the shop and what else it does. So, for instance, here is the corner of the store that is all Funko Pop. Now, this is a pretty old photo at this point. Turns out I hadn't taken a photo from this particular angle in like over 2 years. I've been kind of dissuading Funko Pop collectors from coming in here because, frankly, we don't have that much good stuff anymore, and I'm trying to downsize what we have. So I have not been focusing on it as far as like promotion as much as we used to. However, one thing that we have here is a way of as a opportunity to switch things around and to get people to pay attention to something different. Now, the retail trick to moving things around is that most people who come into a store, any retail store, unless it's their very first time there, they are usually going after a very set specific things. So, okay, if it's a grocery store, you got your necessities for the week, the little cravings that you have, and you know where those are. So you go, you grab them, you get in the cart, and you go up to the checkout counter. Because most of us just want to get in and out and done. So the same is true of places like this. People come in, they want Funko Pops, they just turn at the door and go right into that corner. They come in for Pokemon cards, they go straight to the back where they can see the Pokemon cards are on display. It's basically that simple, like people just hone in on the things they want. And that means they're not looking at what else you have. When things remain the same in a retail space for too long, customers begin to tunnel vision. And they only see the stuff that they're really interested in seeing, and everything else just becomes a blur in their peripheral. In order to get them to do any sort of looking around and actually acknowledge and notice all the other things that you are selling, especially if it's something new, you gotta switch it up. Even if you don't have anything new to show, switching the arrangement of things is healthy for a store, and it does allow for a particular number of customers to discover new items. So here we have this layout of Funko Pops. This recently got shaken up because we came into a huge collection of Matchbox cars. So now that gondola display in the middle now looks like this. And now that shock of orange as they walk by that section catches eyes. And that's strategically placed. That is actually pretty close to the door. It's one of the first displays you're going to notice to your left when you come in. So hitting them with that big splash of orange when their expectation and their peripheral is expecting white does an enormous job of getting them to just look and notice that something has changed. And that immediately sets their brain into a mode of look around. Where did all this stuff go and what else is different? it immediately like gets the brain firing on almost like a fight or flight response because something that was comfortable and familiar is gone. So you're kind of playing with how the human head works. Now, where those went was basically just an empty corner. So not a huge move, and it's still in with those giant pops on the top shelf that have always been there. So it doesn't make no sense. However, we've now moved it closer to the Marvel section that you can see. And the benefit there is that the people browsing the Marvel now get a glimpse of Funko Pops that they might be interested in, and vice versa. It forces them into a different section than they would normally be in. That corner also includes our McFarlane Spawn toys, as well as the limited amount of anime stuff we have. And a lot of anime collectors are also into Funko Pops, so it's a great little merger to create. This little like cross promotion thing throughout my own, your own store. So little things like that to get people to actually change the way they're looking at things. Here's another example. So here's another old photo, and you can see the Power Rangers section there. So that thinned down to the point where I really just decided it was time for it to shift and move locations. So we end up moving the Ninja Turtles over there. We got a brand new collection of those. It's a gorgeous collection of NECA stuff, and I thought, let's put it here. We'll switch out with the Power Ranger stuff because, it's been in that section for a few years now. High time to actually shuffle it around. So, where does it get shuffled? It gets shuffled over to another section that has been thinning, which is our sealed Transformers collection. Now, should we happen into a collection of sealed boxed Transformer figures, which I would absolutely love if we did, this would shift again. The Power Rangers would probably become an end cap on one of the aisles, and Transformers would take over the entire gondola again. But for now, it does give them a brand new place. More to the point, now it's shoving all of the Transformers over to the left side where the main aisle is. So people walking by will now see this denser collection of Transformers. Even though it's the same stuff, it looks more complete. It looks like a more interesting selection than just a random scattering of pegs that only have one, maybe two boxes hanging from it. And this also gives people another perspective to notice the Power Rangers. Again, there is cross interest between Transformer and Power Ranger collectors. It is a vaguely similar era, similar tones in the transforming robot aesthetics. So there's crossover interest there. So one sees the other. Hopefully that means you get a few of the older stuff sold because they're customers who got tunnel visioned are looking at it for the first time. That's always the hope in any of those. Oh, and as you, if you're curious, yes, the loose Transformers also got a shift along with the boxed ones. This time it is because, well, frankly, you just had too many for the original cabinet. But again, it switches up the visual, meaning now people are forced to look. Originally, it was in a cabinet that's currently over to my right, which is actually where the checkout register is. Now, it's in a cabinet over to my left. So it's still nice and close where I personally like to have my Transformers, but it is a much stronger visual to have it all together like this, and it's eye-catching. And again, it's a shift. People who are after the loose Transformers that we have, they don't just stop at the register and then turn around and leave. Now I'm forcing them deeper into the store so they have a chance to see other things. This current counter for Transformers, if they turn around, they're going to see on their left a brand new selection of Ninja Turtles. So I'm actually using this to kind of pull some of the regulars into the store, because the loose Transformers always do really well for us. So I'm trying to pull some of our regulars deeper into the store so that when they turn around and go on their way out, they notice things they haven't noticed before. So when they notice Ninja Turtles is the first aisle, and then right after that is G.I. Joe. So you have, adjacent nerd interest, adjacent Hasbro lines. You're working this weird little synergy. It's all mental tricks. The more I think about it, this entire video is all about mental tricks. We might have just changed the topic of the video on the fly. But that's the routine, you know? I described this as the Tetris game of figuring out where everything goes and fitting all the pieces together neatly. Well, part of this that doesn't fit the Tetris game is the fact that I can reshuffle the blocks however I want at any time. Now, sometimes you use that eye trickery to your advantage a little bit more egregiously. So obviously, Pokemon is still the hottest thing on the market right now. I wish that weren't true so we could get more of it in. But for now, we're also pretty thin on Pokemon. So rather than have a completely empty shelf, what do? I shuffle in a brand new card game that we're just trying out. I say brand new, it's like a year old. But Grand Archive was one that we took a shot on. And the first box we put out immediately sold out. Like within, well, not immediate, but like within 2 weeks. The first box we put in sold out. So we took a deeper dive to try it again. Well, what better way to draw eye to a brand new product in our store than to put it right next to the most popular product most people come in to check out? Makes all the sense in the world, right? So you're basically forcing them to see the new stuff by coming in to see the old stuff and the stuff that, you know, most people come in to see in the first place. It's basic marketing when you're in a retail space. Now, when it comes to the mental game, when it comes to like the mental tricks of the retail space, nothing is more apparent than the front of your store. And this is where we get to the part where I'm super excited to talk about the whole thing. So the weird thing about this store was that it was set up by somebody else, and 6 months after he set it up, he sold it to a new owner. That owner has been in charge for almost 5 years now, and that's just what the original owner does. He flips businesses the way people flip houses. It's a weird business, but there you go. But it does mean that you're kind of stuck with whatever he did to set the store up, and this usually as quick and cheap as he can put together. So, you saw the Toy Store Life intro before this video, assuming you didn't skip it. Don't skip the intros. You saw the windows looking like this. And I hated how this looked. So, the original owner just put up a few random stickers they had lying around. Like that Batman is just like just like a normal one, a normal like wall stick up you normally put on a kid's wall. It's not meant to be used outdoors, which is why everything except the blue has faded away. The Pokeball, because obviously we heavily push Pokemon as our top product. That was about the only thing he really paid for. Even the Boba Fett on the door is like the word. I hate the Boba Fett. I hate the Boba Fett because, one, it wasn't really put on very well. There's a lot of loose, the corners of it were loose and overhanging. I don't like that it was put on solid white stock and blocked the entire door. That never made sense to me. But also, it was super pixelated. Can you see on this screen? You'll probably see, if you're on a PC, yes. If you're on a phone, probably not. His antenna is not all there because this thing was so poorly cropped that it was completely deleted in the process. And yeah, just like super jank photo when you get up, like real like JPEG crunchy when you get up close to it, because it's just very poorly done. Had I done it my way, it would have never ended up so bad. But you'll also notice that little Beneath Springs Toys and Games little yellow circle there. That was the original owner's idea of a logo. First guy coming in here. Yeah, first guy, not very savvy businessman, not the most creative minded. So that was the first thing I had to replace. You saw the logo that we currently have now. That wasn't even my first concept for the logo. First concept of the logo was based on the vintage like superheroes DC line. Now, or the superpowers line. Let's get it correct. However, a few months back, we finally got around to actually changing up the window graphics. And financially, it's a big investment, okay? So that's why it took so long, just to get to like a point where like, yeah, now it makes sense to do it. So I will present to you the current face of Bonita Springs Toys and Games, brought to you by me. I did all that. This is all my artwork. Screw your AI. I drew this. So, for me, one of the biggest things was identifying this place as a toy store. I have way too many people coming in, assuming the game's part of the name, which that should have changed, but that is a huge quagmire to change like a fictitious name for a business. So you had to go down to the county and you had to switch up a whole bunch of paperwork. It's super annoying, takes a long time, and no one had the chance to do that. So we're stuck with the name. But because we're stuck with that name, people just kind of assume we're a video game store. So I wanted the outside to actually project that we were a retro vintage toy store. So obviously I picked characters who are very well known as toy characters first. So Optimus Prime, Michelangelo, Skeletor. I'm showing some bias here. I did have a fourth choice for the fourth character, but the owner insisted on a Marvel character. And I went with Wolverine. Why did I go with Wolverine? Well, because of color selection. This is where I am playing with your head again, and I'm specifically playing with how your head works. So, for instance, when we talk about color here, we got a primary red character, primary blue, primary green, primary yellow. And I don't mean green is a primary color. Artists don't get ahead of me. I just mean like that's his primary color. That's his main color. But it's the four most distinct colors from each other all together on the window as like the predominant. That sets them apart from each other very, very well. So that was one way. That's one way to like make sure your eye catches everything. Because driving by a store, you've only got a few seconds to notice things. So another thing that was important to me was color layout as an identifier. So have you ever, I get these on my TikTok quite often. I've seen it with Pokemon and Kamen Rider, where people will show you like a very minimalist version of a character that's just colors of lines. And you're supposed to guess what the character is based on those lines and based on the pattern that the colors are in. And that is how we as humans register memory as fast as possible. We acknowledge colors and the overall shape first, and we don't necessarily need to have all the details to fill in the gaps. Your brain does that for you. So when I do like a big purple and blue character, if my brain registers the area that should be his face is yellow, that's going to put me in the mind of Skeletor. That's going to make my brain think Skeletor, even if all I got was a passing glance. Same as a big red character with a blue head is going to make me think Optimus Prime. So I'm playing with that. It's very simple colors. Like I chose these four characters because color and design wise, they're essentially very simple and very easy to recognize based on just its basic pattern alone. You know, I see this guy in green with a strip of color across his eyes. That's going to be a Ninja Turtle, and my brain's going to acknowledge it like that. So this whole design is literally designed the way your brain plays with color and layout in order for you to identify what this store is and what we're about as fast as possible. And I'll even point you toward the door. I will have the characters going downward triangular. If you see their faces from the top, the middle to R2D2 in the bottom. And I will funnel your vision toward the door to indicate exactly what we are and where we are. Now, the reason that aspect came into it, funneling people toward the door, is because here's another thing that the original owner didn't put up, was a sign. And even the most simple of signs cost thousands of dollars. And it took way too long. It genuinely took too long. But it is not an issue anymore. There is a sign over the store. We are now officially visible from the road. And we had people who noticed this place for the very first time the day this sign went up yesterday. So I know it works. And I know it's been missing for a long time. This is how people even tell you're in business. Like, if I'm driving by a spot and I don't see a sign over their door, I assume they're out of business, don't you? So like, that's the first thing that comes down when a place closes down for good. Because they don't want people going in and like knocking on the door and bothering them while they're deconstructing the inside of the building. So getting by on just the labels on the window doesn't work forever. Eventually, you have to give people something else to see. I think the last straw was having a woman call the store asking, like, I can't find you. Where are you? It says I'm in the plaza, but I don't see you. She's driving up and down the parking lot, but she's looking up at where the sign should be. She couldn't find us because she wouldn't look straight ahead, because we're so trained to look for the signs over the doors of plazas like this. And then that tells you how bad of a problem it is. So, yeah, the look of the store, at least the face of the store, is finally complete. And once again, I can say a logo I designed is now attached to the front of a toy store, which makes me very, very happy. So this also means you've seen the Toy Store Life intro for the final time. I will be, now that I've gotten to actually like show off and describe like the science of creating the new visual of the store. Now I actually get to refilm the intro to show off all the new stuff. And hopefully it won't be as shaky as the old one. But yeah, that's basically how you play with the brain. It's the mind tricks, the mind games that go into a store in order to get your brain to do what it needs to do in order for us to sell stuff. It's a little bit of trickery. It's a little bit of trickery, but that doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it bad. It's just things you gotta do in order to keep the business afloat. So that's another little bit of insight for you. That's another little bit of how things work around here. And it might have taken a long time, but the store finally looks the way I was always hoping it would look. And that's the Toy Store Life.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.